Thank you. I'd like to now introduce Pastor Sinisa Horvat with his personal testimony.
Good morning. I opened the bulletin this morning and it says here, personal stories by our members. And I am glad that somebody still regards me as a member of this church, because this place is my spiritual home in many ways, and I like to hang around Newbold. The story that I would like to share with you begins in my teenage years. I am sad to report to you that my story of conversion did not have any dramatic experience. I did not suffer in a sense that I had a hole in my heart that had to be filled. I was not looking for Jesus. I was not under any burden of sin. Didn't feel any guilt in my life. I was just an ordinary, quite happy teenager who was raised in a happy home, surrounded by a large extended family. And everything that I knew until that time was in my little town, in which everyone seemed to know everyone. And I would say it was a very protective environment. So I said that I didn't kind of have any sense of guilt. I didn't sleep in a cave, didn't try drugs and had any issues. But I would like to think that what drew me to church was a simple childish curiosity that I hope stayed with me to this day. That, we in Yugoslavia enjoyed the relative freedom. But one of the things that was a sort of taboo was a religion. Although my family were nominally Catholics, apart from enjoying Christmas and Easter feasts, there was not much else about religion in our lives. So I guess that we would count as some sort of agnostics. So hence my curiosity. When learning in my new secondary school that the person sitting next to me, I was pointed out and somebody told me, this is a Sabbatarian, this is a Seventh-day Adventist. I really was quite curious about that because I knew nothing about Seventh-day Adventists or Christianity at all. So I wanted to know. So I befriended my classmate, and the one thing that I really wanted to get hold of was the Bible. Because, I like books. I read a lot of books. I didn't like the school because I had a little bit of issue with bullying when I came from Germany back into Yugoslavia, being bullied for not knowing my language properly to speak. So anyway, I didn't like the school, but I liked the books. And I heard about the Bible. I was not interested in the Bible in any kind of spiritual way, but I heard at least, that the Bible is an ancient book full of history that I liked very much. And my friend was thrilled to lend me his Bible. So we became good friends. We chatted about religion, and things move on. But the key moment, really, in our friendship and in my life was one late Friday afternoon in autumn. The Sabbath was about to begin at around 4 o'clock. And my friend, for the first time, because the Sabbath hours were coming closer and closer, he stood up and asked the teacher if he can be excused because of the Sabbath. Instead of letting him go, he started shouting at him. He started a tirade of abuse and what really became plain bullying. Well, anyway, my friend left and the teacher continued in a good communist fashion, educating us about the danger of foolishness of religion. However, this had a very opposite effect on me. I felt sorry for my friend, and I felt angry at my teacher for trying to suggest me how should I think and use my head. So, I rebelled. Looking back now, I realized that the Holy Spirit picked the right time, right moment, Most 16-year-old kids rebel at that age. Some go to experiment with smoking or alcohol. In my case, I consumed a bit of religion. I also like the idea of trying to find out for myself, not to be told what the truth is all about. So when my friend invited me to church, I was surprised how well read these people were. And I'm saying that to you today because it seems that it's not like today now out of this church, isn't it? Most of the stuff that we feed on is Twitter and YouTube and conspiracy theories and all the kind of nonsense. But in those days, when I came to church, in my local church, in a provincial town, people were really well read. And you see, there's a reason for that. In those days, the education was denied to most of the Seventh-day Adventists. If they wanted to have a higher education, you had to be a communist. Or you had to take exams on a Saturday. And they were denied, and they were acutely aware of that. So they tried to compensate. So the Adventists in my hometown were doing all the best they could. They could educate their children and themselves. They were reading stuff. They were reading the Bible. They were reading the Ellen White. But they also read all other things. And I remember them reading, my elders telling me, read Sinisa, read. And as a consequence, my school grades got better. And all things started on to be wonderful. I said that I didn't like the school, but the thirst for knowledge, for education, awakened in me. I did have quite problems with my family sometimes. I had a prejudice in community and general hardship when I was becoming an Adventist. And although I was warned by my church members who were really worried about me that I may have trouble, I really hoped that I would avoid conflict with my friends and family. Unfortunately, I had to go through a period of problems where my friend distanced themselves from me. But I also have to say to you that I also distanced myself from them, which I deeply regret. And I'm happy to report to you that I have reconnected with all of my friends and family since then. To my surprise, the most support outside of the church came from actually the school that I was in and from the teachers of that school. It is them, interestingly, that they gave me that support. You see, in my country, in the communist times, we did have communists. Everybody had to become communist if they did something. And those people who were communists because of the interests were also the first people who filled their church pews when the communism fell. And they were not really nice people often. But there were those people, those communists, who were communists because of their convictions. And in Yugoslavia had a relatively benign form of communism in those days. And those people were very open-minded, progressive, and they were really interested in my choices. Not my choices, but they were willing to defend my choices that I made. And I feel that I have to say that to you, because that's what I did. You may not like this, me saying that, but it is really, I received the support that I cannot really explain to you from some of my teachers in their schools, who protected me from the teachers like the teacher that was attacking my friend, who allowed me to be absent from the church, from the school, who allowed me to take the exams on the other days than the Sabbath. So I feel the duty to tell you that, because of the kindness and support shown towards me. Anyway, a couple of years later, I got baptized. And since I had to pay a hefty price for becoming an Adventist, getting in trouble with my family and my friends, which kind of brings again another thought. I found it a bit surprising how easily people baptize here. It's almost like a kind of changing the underwear. In my days, getting baptized was a very, very difficult and often dangerous process that entailed a lot of consequences. I decided, since I paid that hefty price, that I won't stop there. Because I was a naive teenager who thought I want to know everything. So I decided to continue my education and started doing theology. And I think you all have this like to know, isn't it? And I remember that my ambition was to know absolutely everything. Now I know that the more I study, the less I know. And some people find it threatening, but I find it quite liberating in my case. So when I came to this college, I said to you earlier that I loved history, and partly I picked theology because there's a lot of history and almost nothing of math in it as well. So I never had the opportunity to study math properly. And I remember when I went to sign in here, I did notice that they also teach history here. And I remember that I went and signed up for history classes and the courses. And then I realized on the way home that I didn't even ask my wife if I can take that. And that was a little bit awkward. But here I am today, thanks to my church. We often talk about very abstract things, what the church does for you. But without my church, without my faith, I wouldn't be standing here today. Expanding my horizon, seeing a vast array of different people, some curious, some crazy, and so on. But I'm grateful for all of that. And I'm grateful for this church, and especially this church as well, which provided me that education. And I would like to say, especially to the younger generation, but also to all the ones, that the education is one of the things that I value the most in this church. And we live in the world today where the truth, where the facts don't matter anymore. And it seems to me that to some of our members, the truth, the facts matter no more. So I would just make an appeal to you that we value this institution, that we are here in this church, the college, because this is one of the most beautiful things that we possess. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Sinisa. We spent some time at Guildford. Pastor Sinisa was my second pastor then, and I'd like to thank him for all his help there.